Part 1. AI Domestication. This is the skull of a Chihuahua, and this is the skull of its wild ancestor, the Great Wolf. The domestication syndrome is a theory that attempts to explain changes that happen to domesticated animals when we compare them with their wild ancestors. We see changes like reduction in general size, floppy ears, variation in their coat color, reduced aggression, and smaller brains. The theory speculates that brain reduction can happen to relax selection pressures. Wild animals need larger brains to navigate complex environments, find food, and survive. Through the domestication process, we believe these traits are no longer critical, and the brain, an organ that requires a large amount of energy, had shrunk in size. Another more controversial perspective on this topic is that domestication is not only for animals. We humans may have domesticated ourselves. By organizing our society into large groups with shared values and beliefs, like money, religion, etc., and offloading many of our cognitive needs with computers, books, the internet, we have reduced the need for complex survival problem solving. This leads to believe that that's why our brain has also become smaller. Yes, the brain of our primitive ancestors was larger in volume. If offloading memory to books and the internet made us mentally smaller, what offloading problem solving to AI will do? A recent study by Microsoft, The Impact of Generative AI on Critical Thinking, revealed that the more workers rely on AI, the less critical thinking they apply to their tasks. But how important is critical thinking when programming? Part 2. Thinking fast and thinking slow. Imagine you have some nasty bug in your codebase that is causing a memory leak. Every second it runs, it doubles the amount of memory it uses. If it takes 48 seconds to fill all the available memory for that program, how many seconds will it take to fill half of its memory? I will give you 5 seconds to come up with an answer. If your answer is 24, I'm sorry to inform you that that is not correct. The correct answer is 47. Because the memory use doubles every second, it only takes one more second to go from half to full capacity. Why does 24 seems like the right answer? This is what Daniel Kahneman, a Nobel Prize winning psychologist, goes over in his book Thinking Fast and Slow. He explains how our mind has two systems that control our behavior. System 1, which thinks quickly, an evolutionary trait we share with other animals that allow us to survive and make decisions in critical moments. And System 2, a system that uses more energy and takes more time, but can be more analytical, logical, and make fewer mistakes when making decisions. We pick 24 because it's the more intuitive, energy efficient answer that our System 1 picks for us. It seems that System 1 is inconvenient, isn't it? Quite the opposite. The fast thinking flow is very good at one important job, keeping us alive. If you were to analyze and overthink if a lion is friendly instead of just running away, you will be eaten by the time you figure it out. The problem arises when we use our lazy brain when we should take a bit more time and energy to avoid making mistakes. We also use our System 1 quite often when programming. By the very basics, we have to be familiar with the syntax and programming language that we use, pattern recognition of familiar code structures, design patterns, idiomatic solution, and a gut feeling for identifying and fixing bugs. These skills develop over time by countless hours of using our more analytic mind. Our coding intuition builds up. The problem now arises that AI is doing a lot of the work for us. On one hand, new coders do not have the opportunity to strengthen this muscle, and experienced ones are forgetting what they already learned. Quoting the Microsoft paper, a key irony of automation is that by mechanizing routine tasks of leaving exception handler to the human user, you deprive the user of the routine opportunities to practice their judgment and strengthen their cognitive musculature, leaving them atrophied and unprepared when the exceptions do arise. At its essence, we could think that generative AI is a supercharged system one that has terabytes of intuition data. Because of this, exceptions will arise. It will fail. It does not matter how big their context window is, how much we beg the AI to work. Generative AI is good at only one thing: predicting the next word. It does not think, it does not reason. That's why it's still important that we use our critical brain and take control when we need it. AI researchers have identified these core issues, and that's why they have tried to develop a system tool for LLMs. That's why we have seen the rise of AI agents and reasoning models. Models that currently are the best one for solving complex coding problems. But do not get fooled. These are still just better predictions. Now, the worst possible combination is to mix our own biases with those of AI. OpenAI recently had a really gross problem that made them roll back an update. The issue was that their model was too nice to people. In their own words, it aimed to please the user, not just flattery, but also as validating doubts, fueling anger, urging impulsive actions, reinforcing negative emotions in ways that were not intended. Beyond just being uncomfortable or unsettling, this kind of behavior can raise safety concerns. Bad decisions reinforced by AI can lead to even worse decisions. The bandwagon effect is a psychological phenomenon where individuals tend to adopt behaviors, beliefs, or preferences because others are doing the same. This is a bad trait that AI has when choosing technologies, simply because they have better knowledge about them. It's already well known that models will be better with React and Next.js than Svelte, Vue, etc. And this is a problem for two main reasons. These technologies are not always the most suitable. As you can see in this example in Lovable, the AI picked React even though I asked for a simple static site. React is overkill for this case. A better choice would have been a plain HTML and CSS file with no need for tons of node modules, and it will even have better SEO. Another reason is that we are creating a monopoly and lack of competitiveness and innovation. Because React is the default framework, opportunities for better tools to emerge for users and developers are closed off. Part 3: The Future of Programming. This is not an anti-AI video, quite the contrary. We're seeking to understand the new paradigms, understand their strengths and weaknesses. The AI revolution represents an opportunity to explore what the most valuable skills of programmers are. From this point of view, we see how the abilities to solve, analyze, understand complex problems strengthens our system one, or coding intuition, which due to the nature of our biology, we are weakening, delegating with the tool that's been sold as our replacement. We should then focus our analytic efforts to first understand and practice our craft, and also, as we need to remain competitive, use them with the level of skepticism that they deserve. Work on your own skills first. Understand the basics so you can be one step ahead of AI. Rebel against AI domestication.